Welcome to another episode of Tangled Rights, our first live episode. What
And
number are we on?
Possibly our last Tangled Rights episode ever.
always possible.
Always
This
possible.
is episode 40. We decided to go live. Just got that idea. I thought, we'll answer some legal questions live that we get from you guys. So it'll be a little different, a little more choppy maybe. Not as smooth.
Not going to be as cool.
We're on TikTok.
We don't
over
rehearse
there.
it anyway, so it
We're on
doesn't
YouTube
matter.
right there. We rehearse a little bit.
I mean, in the sense that we talk about the cases, we don't like pre-plan what we're going to say. We don't have fucking scripts or anything.
Here's what happens is we're real attorneys. Like we have full caseloads and try to do this podcast to reach new people, and we find it entertaining. We learn a lot about ourselves. It practices our speaking skills too, I think, and storytelling, which is a trial skill that you need to have. And we're not refined. We can't take too much time doing this like some of the more professional podcasts.
Hyper refined, personally.
No, you're not. So we're here, episode 40. We're going to talk about legal things. If you have questions.
And some illegal things.
Many illegal things, as it always turns out.
Not legal advice, not to be construed as a lawyer-client relationship. Consult your local attorney if that happens to be us. Give us a call. We got you.
Still have to say that. We were supposed to do this yesterday, and then I'm an arbitrator. And
Shane, what's an arbitrator?
And so here in Nevada, in Clark County, for cases of values less than $50,000, cases go to arbitration to try and not flood the court system. So I act as an arbitrator. I get paid an amount to do it, but I get to decide cases. And if people disagree with it, they can still go to trial, but it's a way to try and avoid trial. We call this alternative dispute resolution.
Or ADR.
ADR. So people go to mediation or arbitration to try and avoid flooding the court system because the courts are busy.
Is there some kind of threshold to get into the arbitration program, or can anybody just do it?
I already said that. Oh, to be an arbitrator or the cases?
Well, the cases and to be an arbitrator.
The cases, I said less than $50,000 of value.
Wasn't listening.
And then arbitrator has to have been an attorney for 8 years.
Oh.
So I applied for that. It's fun to hear other people's arguments too, because as an attorney, we make arguments all the time, but we try to refine our skills, listen to other people. Everybody should do that in their job. Keep getting education, see how other people do things, talk to other people. So
I think in life, like, don't stagnate.
Yeah.
Whatever it is you're doing, be better at it.
So that went longer yesterday. My fault this time. Usually it's Justin tracking behind in criminal court. Yeah, but this time it was me. So we're live. Happy Valentine's Day. Love the ones that you love. Something like that. Okay.
If you can't be with the one you love the one you're with.
Okay, something like that.
That's a song from like the 70s, I think. Let me Google that.
I think there's a song about...
I'm 100% certain that's like a classic rock song.
All right, well, while you're looking that up, we got any questions yet, Austin?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's Stephen Stills. It's called Love the One You're With.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came out in 1970. So I was right. Thank you.
We already have some questions.
So this person asked, what is the optimal strategy to beat Shane Cox in Santorini?
Okay, no dumb questions. We're
What's Santorini?
It's a board game based on the city of Santorini.
It's a listener question, man.
It is a listener question.
Are you good at it?
I've beaten an anonymous tipster like 8 times in a row. 8 to 9 times in a row now.
And that's a fair question. Answer the fucking question. Give the people what they want.
The first time, I mean, it's a simple game. It's like a chess game. You just basically got to move up one level at a time to level 3. First person that does that wins. And
it's kind of like
this other guy cannot figure it out.
It's kind of like beating this other guy at the Ninja Star game we have in the office.
Yes.
Or having a faster shot. I'm just gonna say it in like a dickish kind of way. Just be better.
Be better.
Like be faster or be more accurate.
Work harder.
It's
study. Like we're just talking about. Watch other people. See their moves.
Yeah, maybe get on YouTube and find videos of like tutorials. Maybe to show you better strategy, perhaps.
This anonymous tipster crushed me in a different board game recently that I can't seem to figure out. So
it turns out different strokes for different folks.
Yeah, we're just all good at different things.
Yeah.
Just study. I'm not going to move up levels.
He can't tell you his strategy.
Move up levels quicker than me.
Yeah, just be better.
Gonna beat you again.
So the anonymous tipster asked the second question. This one's for Justin. They want to know what is Justin going to sub his opponent with and when?
So Justin doesn't go into competitions like that, like thinking I'm going to do this thing. Justin goes in thinking I'm going to do the right things. I'm going to make sure I frame well. If I get caught, I'm going to shrimp. Things like that. But what I usually like to go for, because I'm a big fan of, is arm triangles. I like those. And I also have been playing with the lockdown into a back take rear naked choke. So if you have never dealt with it, and you're in half guard with me, and I go to put you in lockdown and then slide you up, right? Get the underhooks, get my hands under your armpits. It's like butter, because you're not used to having someone try to just elevate you using my lower body, and your lower body pushes your torso past mine, and I can spin you because I've already got my arms underneath your armpits, or my hands underneath your armpits. So I can spin you and immediately take it back. I think I did that to you once.
Once, maybe every 30 seconds.
No. I'm pretty sure I only did it once.
Oh, okay. Well,
but anyway, you know what I'm talking about,
yeah,
right?
Because I know what you're talking about.
I use my legs, and you're not expecting to get pushed from the bottom. You're expecting all the force to come from the top. So that's probably what I'm going to use, is either arm triangle or lockdown back take. So that's where we're going.
All right. Have no idea what you guys were saying. Let's move on to the legal stuff.
Sure.
I don't see any other questions. Keep monitoring our TikTok, please.
Tick.
The first thing we want to talk about, we'll plug in a YouTube video later when this video comes out. This bad attorney that gets contempt charges.
God.
This is in Louisville, Kentucky during COVID. There was a subreddit that popped up during COVID time called Zoom Court, and it was just watching all these Zoom court proceedings.
Isn't that the one where the guy is in Texas and he's an older attorney and it had a cat filter on, and he's like, Your Honor, I'm not a cat, I promise. I'm a man.
That was a huge one that came out. Criminal law, it's in person most of the time. It needs to be in person, because you just gotta talk to people face to face for criminal stuff, I think.
Sure.
And everybody's kind of wary of phone calls being tapped and all that.
Yeah.
Because potentially they could listen but not use it with an attorney-client privilege, but they shouldn't be listening. So, I mean, that gets into another recent attorney getting in trouble here. Yeah.
You could get it thrown out.
You can get it thrown out.
It's violating confidentiality.
But you just don't want it listened to anyway.
No,
absolutely
not.
It just feels yucky. So face-to-face.
Sure.
100 times better. So this is an attorney in Louisville who is trying to get her client to enter a plea. Whenever you enter in a criminal plea, the criminal defendant has to accept that and agree to it. You just can't push them to it. You can't accept it for them. They have to be there. They have to accept it. The judge has to ask them, make sure they understand it. So the judge does what we call canvassing, which is just asking questions, kind of making sure, confirming 100% this is the criminal defendant's desire, not just the attorney's desire.
That's actually what I was going to say, because it's the way you framed it was accurate, right? She was trying to get them to take the plea. And the way I always tell my defendants, it's not that I'm getting you to take the plea, I'm laying it out for you. And there have been a limited set of circumstances where I say to the person, hey, this is the offer. This is what I was able to get down to. If you say no to this, that's perfectly fine. You're within your rights to do that.
Yeah.
However, I am going to fill out an advice of counsel letter saying that against the advice of counsel, you are disregarding this offer. And I want it put out there that I'm telling you that this is as good as it's going to get. This is a great deal considering the facts of the case.
Yeah, and that's not something you're going to put in front of the court or put your client on blast for.
No,
either.
Absolutely not. That's going to be a between me and them thing, and it's going to be mostly to protect me so that if later down the line, he didn't tell me, he didn't, if something happens, they end up going to trial and it goes south for them, and I'm telling you this stuff for a reason.
And that's so what happens in this video is the client says that the attorney says that her client, the criminal defendant, has mental health issues, and that this is
no, I don't.
This is the best course for him. Of course, he should accept it. He has mental health issues. He has to accept this. It's in his best interest to. And then the client says, "I don't have mental." Well, it's funny. He says, "I don't have mental health issues. I'm from Florida." And people are like, that's why you, okay, well, people from Florida, we've talked about a lot here. We got a lot of stories from Florida.
I don't think that you can have mental health issues if you're from Florida. I think that's the point, right?
Well, and so the point being, the humidity. He didn't want to
brains up.
He didn't want to accept the plea.
Sure.
He didn't understand it.
Right. Well,
he didn't know that there was possible prison time.
It sounded like she'd never even gone over it with him.
She said had spent a lot of time. Regardless of if he has mental health issues, he can say he doesn't when he really does, right?
Yeah.
And so if he does, though, and he's saying he's not understanding
it doesn't matter either way.
Understanding it, he cannot enter the plea. He cannot accept the plea. The judge says, I can't accept this,
Yeah.
you're going to have to go back and talk to him more. And sometimes lawyers are like in front of the judge trying to figure it out.
Well,
and some are lazy and don't get the time. And that's it. It looks so bad.
It's a lazy thing. At that point, she just wanted the case to be over with because
Yes,
whatever.
she didn't want to do the case anymore.
Yeah, she didn't want to do the work.
And so what ended up happening is the attorney says, well, if you're not going to accept this plea, I move to withdraw. And that just looked so bad because as attorneys, we need to get this together before and say, all right, we're in agreement about what's going to happen. You know, judge is going to ask you this, this, and this. You have to understand. You have to say you understand. Otherwise, this is going to get thrown out. She's not going to accept your guilty plea. And so we always talk to clients and not say, hey, you have to accept this guilty plea or else I'm going to withdraw.
Dude,
but point out, hey, this worst case scenario, if you go to trial, could be this time. So the guilty plea is in your best interest. And that's what I believe. But it is your choice, client.
Right.
It is your choice. If you want to roll the dice and push this forward, this is the best offer you're going to get. And I know you don't like it, but this is what we think might happen in trial. You have a chance you could win. You have a chance you could lose because XYZ.
Yeah.
You know, they ask us to put percentages on it, but
dude, I fucking hate that.
That's a question that comes up all the time.
All the time.
What percent, you know, but.
Oh yeah. But so I always go with the bell curve because people understand that, people have seen it, and they get that like on this end is acquittal. Very unlikely. On this end is max sentence. Most of the time, very unlikely. In the middle is all that other stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where you want to land.
Yeah.
Because also you're getting a guarantee.
Yes.
Which the guarantee is worth quite a bit more, especially when you're talking about something where you're getting a drop down, you're getting a guarantee of probation, so your liberty is protected. Granted, I mean, sometimes people got to eat felonies.
Yes.
You know, like that case we had where the guy was dead certain that he didn't, that he used his turn signal.
Yeah.
Right. And he's looking at felon in possession of a firearm, possession of cocaine, possession of Oxycontin, I think. So 3 possession of controlled substances, you know, possession of a firearm by a prohibited person. You're not going to get maxed on that.
No.
But at the same time.
Well, it depends on your judge. If you draw a bad judge, like.
We did draw a bad judge.
Yeah, that happens.
But the bigger problem for him was his record, right? So this is the stuff we have to take into account. Like if it was just that stuff by itself and maybe like a theft from 5 years ago is why he was a prohibited person, it wouldn't matter. But he had an attempt murder that he already did time on.
Yeah.
He did time on his first case because it was, you know, a pretty serious case.
Yeah.
And those judges
why he wanted to hire an attorney the second time.
They see him with a gun and they're like, oh,
he's going to try and kill somebody again.
Has already tried to kill somebody. He's not allowed to have guns. He has a gun again. But that's what you got to take into account, right? This is the thing that I think a lot of defendants skip. But that's not being a lazy attorney.
Okay.
Right, which is different than this lady.
Yeah,
I've also never seen someone say that.
And then she said, "I'm gonna hop off. Like I won't be on the case anymore," and just jumped off.
And
the
judge, no, you won't. Click.
And then she clicked off, and the judge, you know, all right, we're gonna sanction you.
No, that was the part that was weird to me. Is that she said she was gonna. She said she was gonna move for sanctions. Like you're the judge. You don't move for shit.
That's what another attorney should do. But yeah, she ended up there was some sanctions and. Some things that came out after that, but we'll put the video in the full podcast so you guys can hear, you know, how this went. And
if it's mental health treatment, I'll correct it to say mental health.
That's fine. But what I'm saying is your client is saying he did not understand it that way. It's fine. It is fine that he has mental illness, but that doesn't mean that we can go through with a plea if he doesn't understand what he's agreeing to.
Man, I don't even have no records of me having mental illness. She just putting that diagnosis on me. I don't have no mental illness. I'm from Florida. I'm not even.
Your Honor, it's my motion at this time to withdraw from this case.
No, ma'am. That motion's denied.
Why?
Because
he won't accept the plea, and he's going contrary. He won't accept ma'am, I've been to the jail 5 times. He's flooding the toilets. He's causing disturbances. He's fighting. He's been beat up. He's calling me 12 times a day.
Disparaging your client to this court.
Okay, well, the bottom line is, my advice to him, ma'am, is to take the deal. If he's not going to do that, then I'm withdrawing from this case.
Ma'am,
I've already been to the jail 5 times, Your Honor, to talk to him.
The withdrawal is denied.
I bet I don't appear again. Goodbye.
Okay, I would like to make a contempt motion for Ms. O'Neill. I will enter an order compelling her appearance in front of this court tomorrow.
It does not make attorneys look good. We'll never try to force you to do something.
No.
But I mean,
Also,
sometimes trial's the worst option.
Yeah, for sure. The thing I always tell people is I'm never going to tell them to do something without telling them the why. The what or the result is their decision, but the why is what I got to give them, and I do that every time. It's just super weird. I've never heard of someone talk to a judge or talk about a canvas or talk about a plea in that way. You need to scoot back over because you're off the. Talk about a plea in the way that it was an imperative. And if you don't, then I'm dropping off your case. That sounds like coercion.
Yes.
And in the guilty plea agreement, it says, has anyone promised you anything, special privileges, leniency, or tried to coerce you into taking this?
Yeah.
And that would be a no because, I had to take it or my attorney was going to abandon me.
It better be a no. Yeah. All right. We got a ton of questions. Okay.
Jesus.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Okay.
We'll go on from earliest to most recent. Some will be quick. What's the most ethically questionable legal argument you've ever had to make? George, you jerk. That is a tough question.
The most ethically
questionable legal argument you've ever had to make.
That's
tough, man.
I try not to put myself in those situations, but I want to say that the most questionable thing I ever had to do is one of those where it's the Sun Tzu, never interrupt your enemy when he's making a mistake.
Okay.
I knew
Keeping your mouth shut.
I knew something they didn't do or they didn't know, and I didn't say anything about it. So it wasn't an argument. It was a lack of, but it feels wrong,
Yeah.
It just sucks.
So
it wasn't in a criminal case. It was in a civil case, and it's just like.
So the court rules are, our duties as attorneys are that we should be zealous advocates for our clients. Okay, zealous, which is sometimes a bad word, but for attorneys, it's a good word. We should be fighting as much as possible for our side within the realms.
Rules.
And there are other rules. You have a duty of candor to the court, which candor means to tell the truth. You always have to be honest. So there are things that you
call it candor.
Candor.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I was just enunciating a little.
Yeah.
CANDOR for.
Yeah. It's always
I don't know if I've ever heard the word outside of the context of
candor?
The rules of professional conduct.
Never.
So that's why I put more emphasis on that.
Syllables.
Syllable. Yeah. So you have a duty to tell the truth. So there are things that our clients, and especially in a criminal context, tell us that can sometimes sound funky, but that is their perception. And in politics, they talk about your truth versus my truth versus the truth. It is their truth. Like it is their version of how they see things. So sometimes we represent that.
Well, it's just perception.
Hey, the client didn't understand that, this was illegal, or he needed to do this with his parole officer and actually check in. They thought it was a joke.
Well, I have one like that from yesterday where they had been reaching out to my guy every single time to tell him, hey, you come and check in on this date. Well, then something happens with their automated system, and 3 months in a row, he doesn't check in. But before that, he'd made every single check-in. They come to his house. They tell him, hey, man, you're supposed to be here on the 15th of every month. Oh, shit, I didn't know. And so then he's there on the 15th of every month. They tried to give him a dishonorable discharge. I got him an honorable for it. But it's just like, what are you talking about, dude? So that's a situation like you're talking about where he's been told every time, check in now, and then he doesn't do it.
Yeah.
And so that's an argument I have to make.
I mean, but some of those, the client's like being a little...
this guy is just not...
Okay, well, there are some times...
He went to Iraq one too many times. He's just,
gotcha. But there's sometimes clients are just straight up lying to you.
I know they're bullshitting me.
And you represent, what they tell you as if it's the truth.
Trust but verify.
But if it's something you can't verify, it's your representation of the court to make. I don't feel bad about that because that is how they see things.
That being said, I will always couch it in, Your Honor, I've been... my client has informed me. I understand this to be like not. I'm asserting it as the definitive truth, but I'm not. Saying this is my perception of the definitive truth.
And George's second question, I think, is a flip side of this. If you could change one law that you believe is fundamentally unjust, what would it be?
National Firearms Act of 1963.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that was
or the Internal Revenue Code.
Today or taxes. Yeah. Today or yesterday, we saw a DUI death where a guy was traveling 140 miles per hour on a surface street. So he got sentenced to a 5 to 20 or something like that, 5 years, driving 140 miles per hour, hit another car that was pulling out, killed the driver of that car.
Oh shit.
Okay.
How did it not kill him?
Yeah, he didn't die. There was a passenger in the car as well of the person who died who had significant injuries but didn't pass away. So two people that got T-boned, rear-ended, one passes away, one doesn't. There was a recent 140.
That's like that fucking NFL player that burned that lady.
Yeah, they pulled the EDR data of this car. It did say at one point it was going 140 a millisecond before impact. It was going 127, I think it said.
That's the exact same speed that Ruggs was going, that lady.
Yeah, so I'm
fairly certain it was 127 at impact.
It was around there. Had slowed down just the tiniest amount. I mean,
still almost double the highway speed limit. Not enough.
On like a 45, 55, a big road. I think it was Las Vegas Boulevard in Cheyenne.
Okay.
It was something with Cheyenne near Austin's house.
Could have been you.
So just completely, I mean, you see a punishment like that. There was a friend or an acquaintance I knew whose son died in kind of similar circumstances out in Henderson. So they pushed the law to be even harsher and the sentences
like
to be
MAD
even harsher.
Or whatever.
This was
one of those groups, though.
I mean, it was
Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
It was it was his own thing. Like,
okay,
he as an attorney kind of pushed this forward, with some support of because his son passed away. They named it Rex's Law after his son who passed away.
Sure.
So they pushed for harsher sentences. I mean, I would go even harsher on these. If you end a life, like this guy's eligible for parole in 5 years. That's
yeah.
I mean,
he won't get any time off the front because I think it's a B felony.
I don't think we take vehicle safety seriously enough because these things are behemoths,
Yeah.
3,000, 4,000, 5,000 pounds that can just hurt people.
No.
And our bodies aren't built for that.
The weird thing though, and I'm not arguing with you because I think they're terrible. I've got friends that have died in, DUI crashes. I've got friends that have died because people are on their cell phones. I'm a motorcycle rider. I've been riding since 2008.
Yeah.
I've got friends that have gotten fucked up through nothing but negligence. But when you're talking mens rea, the highest
I don't care.
I think the highest you can get with DUI is reckless, unless that person is at a party. I'm going to go kill somebody, which no one ever does.
No, I don't. I mean,
conscious disregard, I'll give you. But do you see the point?
This is my opinion.
No, I understand.
That's what he's asking for.
I'm just saying, like.
Yeah, I don't.
So DUI,
if the effect's the same,
you'd make it more punished. That's fine.
All right. Next question: do you believe that professional athletes convicted of gambling on sports should face lifetime bans?
No, that's stupid. Now, if they're fixing the game, different story. But if it's just, hey, I play for the Lakers, we are real fucking good. I think we're going to win. I'm going to put $100 on myself.
Betting on your team to win, betting on your team to lose, I think.
That's different.
Betting on other teams?
Who cares?
Calvin Ridley, that was insane.
It's like saying they can't insider trade because, I know that this, right? It's like
Congress can do it.
Yeah, Congress can do it, but not them. It's like, there's a law to fix. No fucking stock trades for Congress, douchebags.
Yeah.
It's like saying, okay, I know this because I'm a professional athlete and we're all in the same circle or whatever, but who cares, dude? It's not a big deal. If they're fixing it, that's different. But if it's just a bet.
It's funny. Rest in peace, Pete Rose, who,
let the kids play ref.
Maligned for this for a while and became a Las Vegas resident. I saw him one time, on the strip hanging out. So
dang.
Pete Rose, yeah. He was
a good guy.
He's good. He seemed fine.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, I don't know. Next question. There's an with that question we just had. Or does the justice system and league policies unfairly target them while allowing sports organizations to profit from legal betting?
Yes.
What do you want us to? We're not going to fix the issue. But yes.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is control and making sure you're funneling the money where it's supposed to go.
It's so sad that all these professional sports avoided Las Vegas for so long. That was the story growing up here is, they don't want to be affiliated with gambling because that's, bad and not Christian wholesome. So,
good news. We're a country of degenerates now.
Yeah. Chick-fil-A can't come to Las Vegas either.
They're here.
They weren't for forever. And that was the story.
They weren't even in Wichita for forever.
That was the story here is they don't want to go to Las Vegas.
And I don't know if you know this, but Wichita is way, way, way lower on the debauchery scale than Vegas is.
Well, that was the story anyway. I don't know why you're asking us. We're not going to fix it.
No, But they should allow it. It seems stupid to me, unless they're doing something, But that being said, the organizations get to set whatever rules they want.
Yes.
It's their organization. So if the NBA says you can do it, cool. If they say you can't, I guess
but they have
go play for another basketball organization. They have $40 million.
They have players unions and
you can't.
arbitration and collective bargaining that
I understand
that fixes issues too, and
I understand
or works to fix issues.
But I'm just saying,
that's the attempt.
Individual liberty, bro.
Okay, next one from Misunderstood Podcast. Is that one of your friends? I don't.
George's.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Is George just signing into all these and being nice for us?
George, such a sweetheart.
When, if ever, is it justified to break an NDA? Do they protect businesses or just silence the truth?
Ooh.
So that's deep.
That's deep. I'm not super familiar with NDAs. I don't really deal with that. I know that generally speaking, there is not an always or a never in the law, right? You can get out of non-competes. There's certain limitations that have to be, and that's the one thing I do know about is non-competes as opposed to NDAs. And I know that non-competes have to be limited both in geography and duration and scope. So I'm sure an NDA has other protections that are similar. Like they can't just, forever, you can't use this. I do know that one element of NDAs I do know about when it comes to the non-disclosure of clients or client lists or proprietary stuff.
Or trade secrets.
That's very protected. But that's just to make sure that someone doesn't work for a company and then go out on their own or go to another company and then parasite stuff that they only learned because they were there.
It's always difficult because the business always has more money than the individual, maybe going to build a competitor that's smaller. Mm-hmm. So if it becomes a legal battle,
you're going to lose. They're going to bleed you.
That's just going to be so difficult for you.
Yeah.
They're intended to protect businesses. Arguments always are in the mind of the person seeing it. As business owners, now we want things that protect businesses. As parents, we want things that protect children. So whenever anything happens, you'll see a cry for whoever is invested in a certain way. So, there's positives on both sides of this. Businesses should be able to protect trade secrets. That's okay.
Yeah.
If you've spent years and years developing a specific formula for something, it should be able to be
like
protected,
KFC
right?
and their sweet recipe.
Yeah.
54 spices and blends of herbs.
Right. So
whatever.
But there's only so many ways you can make fried chicken, right? Like, so if somebody...
That's what you think. With that attitude,
if somebody makes a different fried chicken and it tastes
you can fry a
similar,
fucking Oreo, bro. I'm pretty sure you can do all kinds of shit with chicken.
Then, all right.
Right? Like, tell me I'm wrong here, Austin. I know you know about fried Oreos.
All right, last question we have.
What?
You've never had a fried Oreo?
So good.
We're going to go down to Fremont after this and go get some fried Oreos. Not
Fuck you.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Justin's making weight tonight.
I'm making weight. I'm good, but I can't eat until 7 o'clock.
So you haven't waited.
I haven't weighed in. I weigh in at 7 p.m.
He's weighing in tonight.
I've had one power bar and I get a small salad, and that's it all day.
Our last question right now is from Julie Fox.
Number one fan. Shout out, Julie. Where
what's
you
up,
at?
Julie?
Yeah.
Oh, and a second one that popped up. Who decides where the money from sanctions go? Usually that's the legislature or court system that have decided that. They have approved places. So
you got sanctioned recently.
I did get sanctioned. That was so stupid, though.
No, it's dumb, but it did
I don't
happen.
feel like I should have been sanctioned on this, but some judges are very sanction happy.
Sanction me with your army.
Now I feel like I have to defend myself. I was doing a minor's compromise for my own child.
And you didn't do it properly.
I didn't do it properly. I went to the bank and they said, "Oh, we'll get back to you.
Well,
we'll
set this up. Fault.
We'll set this up. Don't worry. Like, we'll get back to you. We promise." And I'm like, "Okay, no, that'll be fine." And then they never do. They don't want my money. So I go and find a new bank and I go there and I get it set up. But the judge was not very happy with my lack of timeliness in this.
Yeah, dude, you got to be diligent.
And I'm like, I'm protected. Like, trust me that my kids are taken care of. Like, they're not going starving. I promise that they'll get plenty of money from me in their lifetime. And when they're 18 and out of the house, I'm sure
Monopoly man over here.
I'm
Jesus
sure
Christ,
I'll end up
Park Place.
No,
and shit.
I'm not saying that. I'm just
you get an Audi. Yeah.
Me and you came from a different place.
Yeah.
My parents didn't pay for college like some other people I know. So
you better fucking clarify that you're not talking about me.
Yeah, we paid for our own. Like we paid to get to our own places.
Yeah, I was like, you're making it sound like my focus.
I know. So my kids will be from my point of view. What I'm used to.
Oh,
my kids are spoiled.
Oh, dude,
so spoiled compared to how I grew up. So that was
I've
kind of the point.
One dude, he's fucking set.
He's gonna be spoiled too.
But I'm sure. Not gonna just fucking give him everything, even though you guys were being dicks.
I don't know.
the
Everybody says they're not gonna. Then they have the kids. It's like, well, I don't. They should have.
My dad helped me out with my first vehicle, but I worked for $4 an hour carrying fucking wheelbarrows full of sand when I weighed 128 pounds that summer.
Yeah.
Right. So he's gonna have a job. Staunch.
So, who decides where the money for sanction goes?
Where did your money go?
It went to Legal Aid. Yeah, Legal Aid clinics. So usually it's for clinics, legal clinics that help low-income folks,
indigent,
to get pro bono attorneys. So that's typically where these things go, and that's usually. But you can give them to there's law library, which also helps the research of low-income folks. It's
never like the court. I don't think
it's not ever the court.
Do you know? Do you remember that case with Claggett where Republic Services got like the lawyers got sanctioned like $20,000, I think, for hiding that umbrella policy? What do they do with that in like a civil trial? Where do you think that money goes?
I think same
thing.
Same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just remember that was a big fucking deal.
It might go back to the other attorneys,
the other side,
if they spent time that they shouldn't have. So it could. Sometimes there are sanctions,
like compensation damages
from one party to another party. Yeah, for like if you do something that's hiding the ball that made the other attorney do more time,
right?
So their client doesn't have to pay for
Sure.
the unnecessary work. I've gotten sanctions in that way too, and had gotten money from my clients that way. So
really,
yeah.
But the thing with sanctions, I've found that Rule 11 isn't used probably as much as I want it to be. There have been a lot of times that some fucking bitch-made defense attorney in the civil side is lying through his fucking teeth, and
he's just representing the truth, like we said earlier.
Sure.
Their version of
his
the truth.
perception of what documents existed.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Oh, whoops.
I'm not going to say any names, but I want to. And you move for sanctions, and it doesn't happen. The court just gives them not even like a stern warning. It's like a finger wag. It's like, all right, cool. This guy's not going to do anything about that.
All right. Another question from Julie. Do you think that there is unfair sentencing practices?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on people's context, on what they've seen. The people are going to be mad, whatever you've been a victim of a crime of, should have higher sentences. Or whatever your friend got sentenced to who didn't really do anything wrong should have lower sentences.
I have a different answer.
Okay.
I think it's unfair in the sense that you want the law to be uniform, right? You want it to be if this, then that, application of facts to law equals outcome. But everybody knows, even in our courts up here, that if you get a different judge with a different set of facts, with the same set of facts, same defendant, same everything, you will get a different result. That's why there are certain judges that now I will take that case to a settlement conference rather than risk it, because I don't trust that the judge is going to do what you'd think would be done because it has been done in other cases. Or like on that DUI with substantial bodily harm that I had. Remember where I wrote the sentencing memorandum, and I didn't even ask for no time. I just asked for a 2 to 5. And we get a 3 to 8, where I was able to highlight several cases where other people got 2 to 5s where they killed somebody, or worse facts or whatever, where this person's DUI causes a crash, someone gets hurt, and then makes a full recovery, right?
Yeah.
And in that situation, I think, the law says they got to go to prison, and we acknowledge that, but for these reasons, it should be a lower amount.
Well, now
I can highlight cases where that is the case, and then...
Well, now you're talking about out both sides of your mouth when you're saying, hey, DUI death, should the punishment be higher? You said no, because they don't have the mens rea. So is it the damage that they cause, or is it what's in their mind?
Well, the argument you make there is the damages, right? You have to, because that's what I was doing.
I know.
I get what you're saying.
But now you're talking defense attorneys. It's situational.
Talking out of both sides.
Yeah,
eat my dick.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Sorry.
All right.
Sorry.
Next one's from, I think, Austin. Is being possessed by a demon a usable defense in a murder trial? For example, there was a woman in Germany who died from malnutrition after getting 60+ exorcisms.
That doctor went to prison.
I mean, this is Germany. It is a defense you can try. I wouldn't suggest it. The jury's not going to buy it.
It's
the bell curve where, over here there is a 0.0001% chance that this jury's going to believe that.
You better get a bunch of staunch Catholics on that jury.
There has to be so many other character witnesses that say, oh yeah, this person's a model citizen, and then at 3:33 p.m., they turn into a monster.
They randomly start speaking Aramaic fluently.
And their head spins around.
Sulfur fumes come out of their ears.
So did
you ever watch The Exorcist? Yeah.
Oh, Austin's all into that kind of stuff. Do you think, this is from Paul, old guest on the podcast. Paul, what's up, dude?
Almost felon Paul.
Hey.
Definitely cried when they put the handcuffs on him, Paul. That guy. But he does have sweet tattoos. Shout out.
Paul's a cool guy.
I like Paul.
Do you think AI will ever take part in trials in the future? Juries, sentencing, things of that sort? We are advertised AI tools to help us in our jobs already.
Constantly.
So I think, I don't think it'll be in an official court context. I don't think that'll happen.
Dude, it's such a slippery slope.
But I think attorneys will utilize it for sure because you can use AI. We're being advertised. Send them a 50-page brief. Highlight this for me. Send me notes. Give me a 1-page version of this brief or, whatever. Yeah. These medical records. So it is being used already. There was another example of somebody using AI in a brief that cited fake cases recently. That was a big story a couple years ago. There was another one.
Sounded so good.
There was another one in the last couple weeks.
The citations aren't even real.
Don't rely on it too much. It's like everything in life. Ease into it. Make sure it's accurate. But machine learning AI is coming up with fake stuff sometimes.
So the one thing I was kind of hoping for with this is for jury selection. If you could get
that would help.
An AI program that especially could analyze nonverbal communication, the
movement,
je ne sais quoi,
body language.
Yeah,
I mean, you could get a body language. There's
Austin over here scratching.
Yeah,
well, that one's obvious, but you know what I'm talking about. Like
more subtle things. You can't watch. 20
Yeah.
people at once, or how many ever you have in your box where you're from.
Well, the thing is, that it's what 26, I think, usually, plus the veneer isn't just the jury box; it's the second
and your
set
eyes,
as well.
I mean, humans can only focus on one thing. Yeah,
so that would be nice.
I mean, there's an old system we use that people use Post-it notes, and for each person, and if you kick one off, you pull out the Post-it note, put a new one on there in their spot where they're sitting. You have a piece of paper, and you kind of put Post-it notes where they're sitting. So obviously, that's old school, and some people are going to be successful with that. I think AI will be more utilized though as things push forward. So
anything that's going to streamline it and make it more optimal is going to take hold.
All right, Justin, this is a good one for you. What's your go-to hype up song before going into court?
So I've got a couple of them, but it's not just a hype up song. I watched The Art of Intimidation, Mike Tyson, where he's talking about breaking his gloves down. He's scared he's going to lose. By the time he gets in there, he's a god. And this is usually for trial or like major hearings because there's always a lot of self-doubt. I've definitely got, that whiny ass imposter syndrome where like, I feel like I don't belong most of the time anyway. But in trial or court, I'm like, you're looking around for where are the adults? And then it's like, oh, I'm the adult, right? It's me. So that, and then, Kill 'Em All by King 810. Let's see. Wait and Bleed by Slipknot. Adagio for Strings, Samuel Barber, Op-Ed number 11. That's classic music, like classical, like Beethoven and Bach. I really like that. And then there's a song by Chopin that I like. It's just like a random list, but it's a combination of like stuff that I think kind of like grounds me a bit, and then stuff that gets me ready to foam at the mouth and fight. What about you?
I don't know if I've ever had one. I don't think I ever do. I think I get in my head and start just thinking of things instead of thinking of what songs to turn on. So I've never had one, but I should.
When we went to court, he was blasting Eminem the whole time.
Oh yeah,
that's not true.
Lose yourself in the moment you want it, you better never let it go. Oh,
you only get Yeah.
One shot, Shane's gonna fucking lose. His kids are gonna starve. Oh God.
I don't.
That's more what it is for me. It's like I watched this deal yesterday. It was a TV show, and it was about a wrestling coach who was asking this wrestler, like, how did you do this? What was your success? And he's like, well, it's kind of my thing. And then the coach goes, well, tell us. And he goes, I just imagine that the guy that I'm wrestling is gonna drown me. Like he's literally gonna murder me if I don't get him off of me. And so that's Shane's method. He's got some kind of weird thing where he's like, if I lose, everyone I care about,
No, I'm just like go in my head, and if it's something big that I can't sleep at night because I'm thinking about it the night before. So
love that.
But I write things out and I plan it, but still, you just have those last minute thoughts.
Nope. Nope.
And so I don't know, whatever's playing in my car, sports radio is probably on.
Talking about minor league baseball hats.
No,
you'd get too excited there.
Yeah, that'd be way too much. No, don't do that.
I almost said something.
No, yes, we're live. This is why we're shutting Justin up from whatever he was going to say.
Let's keep going.
No more questions at the moment, but now I have my hat for a story that we talked about.
Okay.
We'll celebrate. Hey, congrats, Philadelphia Eagles. I hate the Chiefs so much. This is a team just outside of Philadelphia in the Lehigh Valley, which is just north. This goes into our story from a man. Yeah,
Lehigh.
Lehigh.
Like Nephi?
No,
not like that.
Nothing to do with the Book of Mormon. Okay. No, this is Lehigh Valley, which is an area just northwest of Philadelphia.
Am I wrong? Is Lehigh not a word that's like similar to something?
This is yes.
Okay,
but this is Lehigh is Bethlehem, Nazareth. These have like Christian names for these cities up here.
Okay.
Allentown. This whole area is a suburb of Philadelphia. Lehigh Valley. I liked it because it was LV, just like Las Vegas, and they're called the Iron Pigs. So
you can look at it. Would you look at that?
The iron theme there.
Just look at it.
LV. This is an older hat when hats were simpler. Now they've gone crazy.
Yeah.
They've jumped the shark, we'll say. So this is a story of a man by the name of Trevor Summers. This is an insane story. Trevor was being accused and I think convicted and pending sentencing for some white collar crime from the Philadelphia area, embezzling money, something like that. Not the most important part of this story. It gets worse. He was probably going to do time. His wife was divorcing him. They had 3 children together, 3 or so children.
3.5.
Yeah, I don't know the exact number. Was divorcing him. He's living by himself in Florida. People pending crimes go a little cuckoo sometimes.
Pending sentencing, you mean?
Pending sentencing, pending any kind of criminal investigation or
it's
case.
Stressful.
It's super stressful. And
then I've heard that divorce is also stressful.
Divorce is also stressful. Mix those together and sometimes things from hell will pass. And so Trevor Summers is accused of kidnapping his wife, ex-wife.
Were they actually divorced at the time?
I think they were actually divorced at the time. Kidnapping her. I don't know if they're estranged but they lived in different houses. Yes, for sure. Kidnapping her, repeatedly sexually assaulting her. And this is over the course of 55 hours. He tells his oldest daughter, who's a teenager, to take the other children home and just
to the mom's house?
To the mom's house and just watch them.
Christ.
So he's accused of repeatedly sexually assaulting her, raping her. A neighbor testifies that they see her leaving out of the window, kind of escaping from him. Okay. And so there's a lot in this case.
So what? She got out and he got her back?
No, I don't know the exact details on that. That's not the point.
Well, I saw this lady trying to get out the window, and then she gets yanked back inside screaming. I didn't think anything of it. What the fuck?
That's one thing. Yeah, so the wife ends up leaving eventually after these 55 hours from hell. And then the case, like some of these crazy ones seem to do, ends up going to trial.
She left?
Okay. I don't know if she was able to leave or not. That's
okay.
I guess not the point of this.
Okay, all right. I was missing.
So 55 hours, repeated rapes, goes to trial. Case goes to trial. Obviously, Trevor is a little unhinged. Okay, we know that. Trial starts. He has an attorney. Trial's going on. Opening statements. The key witness to this case is the ex-wife, obviously. So we always, even if you are the lowest of the low, even if you are one of the worst people in the world, under the Constitution, you have a right to a jury trial in front of a jury of your peers. The innocent ones deserve that. The guilty ones deserve that.
Correct.
You have a right to counsel. You have a right to question those who are accusing you of these crimes. So in this case, his wife is the one who's accusing him of these crimes. She has to take the stand and testify about it. Has to. Which in our world now, in the Me Too world, where we're talking about believing women, and that doesn't trump the Constitution. The Constitution still requires this testimony to happen. And I understand, we completely understand now she's reliving this. She's going through this trauma again. Psychologically, that's not good for her. It's not going to help her move on. It's not going to help her recover. It's not going to help her go and be the mom to her children and move past this and put this man in the past. But unfortunately, she has to go testify. And that is sometimes a tool people use to induce more chaos, induce more trouble, induce more problems. If I'm coming down, you're coming down with me kind of thing. Whatever's in Trevor's mind, he has the right to it. And there's nothing we can do about it absent changing the Constitution, which that's not going to happen. Because the rules are to protect the innocent. And unfortunately, it'll hurt people in the process. And that's the calculus. That's how it works. During the trial, Trevor decides that he does not like his attorney. Okay. He had been consulting with him at the table, but when his wife was going up on the stand, she gets asked by the prosecution questions before, but cross-examination is coming, and he knows that. He decides to tell the judge, tell his attorney, and the attorney tells the judge, he does not want me representing him anymore. He wants to go pro se during trial. I hadn't seen anything. This has to be incredibly rare. Usually it's early on in the process you'll decide to boot your attorney. You have a right to be pro se. You have a right to represent yourself. If you want to, please don't. That is such a bad
I think
decision.
We even got like a little cup about it.
Don't represent yourself. In a criminal context, it is the worst thing you can do. People don't understand their claims. They don't understand how a neutral person will see their claims because they're so invested.
But more importantly, they don't understand like the
they don't understand
of the process,
the law, the process, or perception. Okay.
Yeah.
So he thinks,
and they're too personally invested.
So the judge,
not a good idea.
The judge has to allow somebody to represent themselves if they meet certain factors. They have to question them. They have to canvass them.
Oh, the Ferretta cam.
They have to do a Ferretta hearing and ask them, make sure that they understand what they're doing. And the judge did this, said, you're not going to have this attorney from here on out. Okay. If you do this, it's not, you get to, step in and then, I want my attorney back. And I've seen you've been talking to him. So are you sure? And Trevor Summers says, yes, I'm confident, I'm sure. So the worst case happens for his ex-wife. Trevor Summers steps up and starts the cross-examination asking about my rape on you in a court setting where he's completely allowed to do this. So neutral people see this and think this is the worst, possible thing. Because if you kill somebody, you can't ask them questions. If you do something else like rape them, which we see on the same level, it's a Class A felony here, and most states is one of the only other for life penalties you can have. So it's that
and like
scene like murder,
kid crimes that are rape adjacent,
sex, these kind of sex crimes where you're taking someone's liberty, taking somebody's innocence,
peace, like
their
all
peace,
this stuff, whatever.
Yeah, we're not. I'm not saying I'm an expert in that. But we see this crime as one of the worst times, as the worst things. And it's the one time when the person who committed the crime can be asking you questions about the crime. And
it's such a weird circumstance. This is not going to happen often.
And it's even different in that she couldn't have anticipated this. The prosecutor couldn't have prepared her for this either. Hey, the attorney's going to ask you questions and it's going to be difficult. And this is the timeline. Maybe this is how you would answer such and such question. Remain resolute.
No way that
no way that they would have prepared and said, okay, it's going to be your ex-husband. confronting you about
he's
this
going to ask crazy shit.
And he's going to ask crazy questions. We're not going to put in any videos of this because it's just insane. But I did watch some, and he confronts her, and I applaud her for the strength that she showed. She went up, testified, and said, "No, you did this to me." Like, oh, well, when I allegedly raped you, no, you raped me.
So that's the other thing. It was like not just is it classless, is it not a good idea, but you're setting yourself up on cross-examination to have every single question that you asked where you're trying to poke holes in their story immediately get routed because her answer is, no, it happened. Da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
So it's such a bad plan.
I mean, I can't even imagine this.
And it's fucking gross.
It's
dude.
gross.
Like,
they were high school lovers, grew up, fell in love in high school, ended up getting married, had their children, built a life that she thought was the right life. And he didn't, maybe there's some more abuse behind the scenes.
Whatever. Maybe
there was no history. And this is what cracked him from the financial crimes. I don't know the history. I don't, I didn't watch all of it, but
crazy.
It is an exact example of our system and how sometimes it looks really bad. And this is the worst thing that's ever going to happen,
Well,
the whole thing, I guess, the 55 hours and then
sure. It's a terrible situation.
Reliving it.
We're not going to like split hairs and say one is the most terrible. It's just, if it's in this realm of shit, then it's up there. And this is definitely in the realm.
Yes, it is.
I think we got a question.
Did we have another question? I didn't see another one on YouTube. Is there one on TikTok?
Why is Matt Fox calling you?
No,
hey,
there
Matt.
is one on YouTube though. With this person's asking, do you take clients that only speak Spanish?
We do.
I don't see that on YouTube. Where the heck is that?
You don't see that?
No.
We have
by Mark
4 employees who are fluent, and we have one who's shittily conversational.
Oh, I'm not on live chat. Did I miss some questions?
No,
I did. I didn't see the other one from Gladys.
Oh.
Sí, yo hablo español también.
Yeah.
I speak some Spanish. I like to have our 3 native Spanish speakers. What? They were born in LA. That's a different country, right?
Basically.
Jessica was born in Mexico. I thought she was. No, she's born in LA.
LA. Yeah,
they're all born in LA.
Turns out
they're all born in
Mexico, LA. What's the
Guatemala?
difference? I don't
Gladys is from Guatemala. Don't
whatever.
Mark, sí, we do accept clients that only speak Spanish. Sí,
yes.
Sí, Mark. Tú puedes ser nuestro cliente. Sí. Contáctanos. Okay. And then Gladys said, "Do you agree you have the best staff?" No. Yes. Sorry. That was.
I think that is one of those things that it's relative, right? Like there are days that I feel like we do. And there are days where I want to pitch somebody out a window.
We get along so well. As you can see, we're lax.
Yeah.
We get upset because we have a very serious job.
Yeah.
And things are very serious for our clients, and they're in these stressful situations like we talked about.
And then they put
where
that
they
shit
want
on us.
answers now. Well, your hearing's not for 2 months. Well, what's going to happen at the hearing? I don't know. I don't even have your evidence.
Fucking know. I haven't even seen
So sometimes it is a
police
demanding,
report, you dildo.
demanding, stressful job, and sometimes that comes out of both of us.
The one thing that we don't do, it's at least not seriously, because we definitely joke more than we probably should. We're gonna get sued someday. But we're never like name call-y intentionally when we get mad. I might be like, "Hey, I need the file. Get it in here right now. I don't care what that's going on. We got to handle this." But I'm never gonna be like, "Listen, stupid." Like we've had bosses do that, and that shit sucks. So the real question, Gladys, do you have the best bosses?
Yeah, ask the staff.
And there may be a right answer here.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, let's get it. We signed the check, so like that's an easy answer, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't sign anything.
It's all e-signed, whatever.
Fucking lady does, right?
It's all electronic. Yeah.
Whatever. Money just goes away.
Money just
Where
goes
it goes, who knows? Not to me. Fuck.
All right, we got a few minutes left. This one is kind of similar, but a little different. Richard Merritt, he was an attorney in the Atlanta area. Smyrna? I'm not sure. Smyrna, you pronounce that city?
I think so.
Yeah, sorry, I'm dumb.
He's thinking Smirnoff.
I'm done. Yes, of course. So Richard Merritt was charged with, he was a personal injury attorney, and
oh God, this one, fucking idiot.
He did not give his clients money that was owed to them. He'd hold on to it.
So he stole.
Kind of like a Ponzi scheme, hey, waiting for new settlements to come in to pay out old settlements, and he's trying to
There's attorneys
keep
here
things running.
that do that.
There are attorneys who have criminally done this, and it's been a big thing. There are attorneys in every state who have been accused
There's
and
attorneys that are still practicing that
convicted of
do
this.
that on a regular basis.
Yeah. So you shouldn't mess with your funds like that.
No.
But
Because it'll bite you. If everything worked perfectly and like, hey, I know this 25,000 is coming in, this 25,000 is spoken of, but I can get rid of it, go for it. If it was always going to come in exactly when it was supposed to and you're going to be fine, but that's not how this profession works. It's a comedy of errors and you're setting yourself up to get screwed. Don't do it.
Okay. So this is something that happens all the time. This guy's facing criminal charges. I don't know if he was already separated from his wife, but at this point, his wife's not living with him. He's living with his mom. He does have some children as well.
Nice.
So he's facing these criminal charges. Oh, live ended on TikTok for some reason.
Tick, tick.
Oh, yeah. That happened last time, too. So for whatever reason, again, spiraling or the stress that's on this man or whatever, he was living with his mom, and then it ends up that his mother is killed, stabbed to death, and beaten with a dumbbell. Okay.
Ugh.
So eventually he goes to trial as well.
How'd that shake out for him?
It did not go well. He said that a lot of people had him in their sights and were mad at him because of this personal injury issues. He had enemies, and that they had broken into his home. They had tied him up, and they had proceeded to kill his mom while he was in the home. Okay. 2 masked men.
Did he bother to call the police?
No, because he was, they had him tied up while they did.
No, I meant like afterwards. How did he get out?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I think he did because I don't think he could hide it. And
Duh.
I think it was my guess is it was a crime of passion that she maybe said something that upset him or ticked him off, and he had all this stress that was, coming out. So that was his defense in the case. In his case was that he was masked, couldn't protect his mom. He had heard it and couldn't go to her. Jury came back, didn't believe him.
Shocking.
And he was convicted. Another case of just criminal charges, just, seemingly only spending 10 years of your life, something lesser or behind bars, turning into something that's a life sentence.
Yeah.
So we understand how stressful this situation is. We know what these cases look like, and we try to be understanding, but our clients, call us incessantly sometimes when there's no updates. It's not going to change.
Sometimes you get into yelling matches with them before you come to the podcast.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, sometimes clients aren't honest with us and don't tell us the whole truth.
She actually just texted me a minute ago and said thanks. And I was like, hey, my bad. I should have let myself get frustrated. And she's like, no.
You need a passionate attorney.
You got to get checked.
You need passions. Yeah. The final story of the final part of this story with Richard Merritt is he just asked for a new trial because his son didn't come testify about some of those people that he said were making threats against the family. The court ended up denying that, not allowing new trial. This is very recent news on this case.
Certainly an error, but I'm assuming they're saying it's harmless error.
This is within the last couple of weeks. My understanding is yes, harmless error, which means that wouldn't have changed the result because your story was so absurd.
Right.
It's nobody would really believe. I've never heard of a case where somebody attacks an attorney based on you stole my money from me.
Kidding.
In this sense of like personal injury funds. There's
maybe not that, but I'm pretty sure we both know a guy who got shot here.
Yeah, but that's different.
I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking about a different one.
Which one?
Joe.
Joe who?
Morello.
Oh, I didn't know his story.
We'll talk about it after.
We got to have him on the podcast. We know
this guy knows everything.
Oh yeah, Joe's a cool guy.
We got to watch who we invite on the podcast.
Yeah. If you invite people on Tangled Rice podcast, sometimes they can't show up because they're predisposed.
Yeah, sometimes they get arrested.
No other news on that. We're
not talking about that.
We were not involved in that.
We're not touching that one.
We are not on any phone records.
We're not. Fuck you.
All right.
Just a few text messages. Not a big deal.
I want to make sure we got who has the best staff in Las Vegas. Thanks, Norma, for asking Cox and Wilson.
Hell yeah.
Hire Cox and Wilson for
Call
your
us.
legal needs in the
And some
Las
illegal
Vegas area
needs.
and illegal needs.